It is imperative to say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that Nepal is an attractive investment destination, not just due to its policy measures and her untapped abundant natural resources, but also because of her strategic location between two soaring economies of the world, that is China and India. I am delighted to host the launching of the Dolma Impact Fund as the first such event during the Nepal investment year, combined with the goal of alleviating poverty. We are honored that this team of internationally renowned experts in finance, business, politics and academia is committed to promote private international capital to help more business in Nepal.
I'm a non-executive director. I'm interested in ensuring that public companies in this country have the very best governance, and it was for that reason that Tim invited me to be part of the Dolma Impact Fund. The subcontinent means a lot to me. I was brought up in Sri Lanka, born in Sri Lanka, brought up there. I have a house there. I've travelled extensively around India, Sri Lanka and other parts of the subcontinent. I've seen what sustainable development investment can do for a country, for its people, for its prosperity, for its sustainability. I also have an affection, mainly I think through my time at Reuters, where I was a chief financial officer for 10 years, for businesses that have very high ethical values. As you know, Reuters is a global news agency. To many parts of the world, for many, many, many years, Reuters was the only source of truth that those countries could find. They couldn't rely on anything that was being published locally by virtue of, obviously, their governments wanting or controlling the kind of mouthpieces of the news media. We in the UK don't appreciate how important that is. At Reuters, we genuinely felt we were a force for good in the world as well as a commercial operation. I do believe that you can join those things together and make a success of both of them. Recently, I've taken on the chairmanship of Trinity Mirror, and of course we all are reading a lot in the press in this country about press ethics. We're reading a lot about the Lebanese inquiry, and we're seeing a lot of very unsavoury practices coming to the fore. I don't think the press needs to behave that way. I don't think media needs to behave that way. I don't think Trinity Mirror has been behaving that way, but I certainly intend to put ethics really high on my agenda when I'm chairman of that company. And it's partly for that reason, that affection with ethical standards, my affection for Southeast Asia, my absolutely belief in Tim, that I'm involved in the Dolma Impact Fund.
Your Excellency, thank you for hosting this event, and I think your support and the support of the Embassy speaks volumes for what Nepal is trying to do in the world now in terms of foreign direct investment and support of private business. And I wanted to tell you what brought me here specifically, what brought me to start the Dolma Development Fund. And it started with a trip in 2003, when Nepal was still in civil war. I found myself trapped by the paths being washed away in a small village of about 200 ethnic Tibetan peoples close to the border. And I just wanted to stay there. They were the most incredible people I had met, some of the friendliest, some of the happiest, some of the most peaceful people that I've ever met. At the time I was working at E.ON, the energy firm, helping to launch one of their renewable energy businesses, and I found it quite ironic that these people, these ancient people, had been living a sustainable lifestyle, living within the means of the land which they were given. And it's something that we're all striving to do. The mistakes that the West has made, we're now trying to make up for them by renewables through, combating climate change. But if we hadn't made the mistakes in the first place, like these villagers, we wouldn't be in this situation today. And I found it quite ironic that we talk about the sort of development spectrum with the West at the top and people in poor villages earning less than $100 a year at the bottom, whereas in fact they were teaching me something. And that, I've looked at the world with a different view since that moment. It really started back in 2003. I met one particular girl from one village and her name was Dolma. And this is Dolma. And I wanted to sponsor Dolma for education, which I did, but instead of doing that directly, I set up the Dolma Development Fund, which is a UK charity. And the Dolma Development Fund's mandate was to invest in promising local businesses, particularly which are community-led, which can bring benefit socially, economically, environmentally to the communities. And the first business we launched was Dolma Ecotourism. which creates a unique cultural adventure. It's a community-driven trip in the northern part of Nepal, near the border of Tibet, the same place I went at first. And it really is unique because the people are so intimate, because it's their business. And so we've invested in the facilities and the marketing, and that's become very successful in its own right. And from there, with some of those profits and donations from other people, we were able to sponsor children, we were able to help with healthcare programs, and this, of course, is sustainable. This isn't just charity, although there are some donations, but this is effectively sustainable business. This is impact investment. Now, we think that the economic growth, we think that our own experience, we think that the growth of investment funds in the region has led us to this decision to launch the Dolma Impact Fund, which we're formally announcing today. The fund targets 20 to 40 million, which is a small fund, but we would rather start small. The investment size will be around $500,000 to a cap of 3 million per investment. Particularly, as well as investing in capital, it's essential that we invest in technology and in management skill. But we're also committed to providing social and environmental reporting. We're working with a group called Shujog in Singapore, which is doing that for us based on some of the established impact investment metrics. But please don't think for a minute that this is going to overshadow the Dolma Development Fund. Indeed, it's going to stimulate its growth. Through a share of a carried interest in the management company, the Dolma Development Fund will be perfectly aligned with the profits of the Dolma Impact Fund to continue and grow its philanthropic mandate in education, in healthcare, and continuing in impact investment funds that would never make any kind of a market return. So what we find now is a country which has got plenty of credit, but almost no SME capital at all. It's a country of increasing prosperity, increasing disposable income, increasing basic needs like healthcare and water and agriculture. And these are not being met currently by the government due to a lack of budget and the problems which the country has been through. And so we're seeing incredible price inflation on various aspects of the economy, where the SMEs are simply not capable because they don't have the capital, technology and skills to benefit. And so we're seeing a huge sucking in of products from India and China to meet the deficit. Probably the most common question that I'm asked is, Nepal, isn't that a bit small? And my answer to that is, the addressable market for Nepal Inc., Nepal PLC, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely enormous. Because the 5 bordering states with Indian states with Nepal alone, plus Nepal, constitute 417 million people. It increases. In fact, Nepal exports to India have increased 12-fold since 1996. But in addition to the infrastructure crossings are the trade agreements, the bilateral investment agreements, the things which strip out any of the duties which would prevent this. And having an open border with a country like India is incredible. But I also do have 2 material interests in the future of Nepal. And here they are. I couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist it. Now, these are my sons, Daniel and Benjamin, and obviously they're 50% Nepali, and it is our wish, our sincere wish, that they grow up to know a country where prosperity features greater than poverty.